Monkey's running late again. Not for work, for disaster. He wakes up already bracing for an imaginary crisis. His emails probably exploding. His boss definitely furious. The weird noise in his stomach. Surely fatal. Even his banana looks suspicious today. Monkey's brain doesn't need danger to panic. It manufactures it like a full-time factory. While the rest of the jungle is calm, Monkey's mind is screaming, what if everything goes wrong? He's sweating, pacing, catastrophizing, all from the comfort of his perfectly safe treehouse. The irony? Monkey's fear system was built to protect him. But now, it's the reason he can't rest. This is the story of how your brain's most ancient survival feature got hijacked by modern life. Why it loves worrying. Why it can't stop. And how to shut down the fear factory before it runs you into exhaustion. Monkey wasn't born anxious. His brain was simply built for survival. Thousands of years ago, the only monkeys who worried survived. The ones who thought, what's that rustle in the bushes? Instead of, probably nothing, were the ones who didn't get eaten. Fear kept them alive. It was their jungle insurance policy. But fast forward a few thousand years, and the jungle's changed. No tigers, no snakes, no real predators, just Wi-Fi, deadlines, and unread emails. Yet Monkey's brain hasn't gotten the memo. The same ancient alarm system that once saved him from claws and fangs now goes off every time his phone vibrates. Deep inside Monkey's skull sits a tiny almond-shaped alarm bell called the amygdala, the fear factory's night shift manager. Its job? Detect threats before Monkey can even think. You hear a noise, your amygdala screams before your brain even translates it. That's why Monkey jumps when the toaster pops. It's pure survival efficiency. No thinking, just reacting. But here's the glitch. The amygdala can't tell the difference between real danger and imagined threat. Deadline? Same as a lion. Embarrassing memory from 3 years ago? Same as falling off a cliff. Text left on read. Emotional apocalypse. The fear factory doesn't fact-check. It just hits the panic button. And once it rings, Monkey's whole body joins the emergency drill. His heartbeat rises, muscles tense, pupils dilate. His brain diverts energy away from logic towards survival mode. That's why, when Monkey's anxious, reasoning disappears. His prefrontal cortex, the smart part, literally gets dialed down. So Monkey starts living in a world where danger is everywhere. Not because it is, but because his brain keeps sending false alarms. Every what-if thought becomes a full siren. Every uncertainty becomes a predator. And after years of overproduction, Monkey's fear factory runs 24/7, even when there's no threat left to find. The tragedy? Monkey's brain was built to protect him from dying, but now it's just keeping him from living. Chapter 2. The False Alarm Loop. Why worry feels like control. Monkey's fear doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it looks like control. When Monkey starts worrying, his brain secretly feels productive. Planning, overanalyzing, replaying conversations. It all tricks him into thinking he's doing something useful. But what Monkey's really doing is running on a hamster wheel powered by anxiety. The amygdala fires the alarm, and his prefrontal cortex, the smart, logical part, scrambles to clean up the mess by predicting every possible disaster. What if I fail? What if they hate me? What if something goes wrong? Each thought feels like prevention, but it's actually rehearsal. Monkey's brain practicing disaster so he can feel prepared. The more he imagines control, the more addicted he becomes to the illusion of it. That's why worrying feels weirdly safe. It gives Monkey the sense of doing something, even when he's just feeding the fear factory more fuel. The more he worries, the more dopamine trickles out. Not the good kind, but the anticipation kind, the one that keeps him hooked on endless what-ifs. Monkey's brain has learned to fear not worrying, because if he stops, the silence feels wrong, like letting his guard down in a jungle full of invisible predators. So he keeps spinning the mental gears, burning energy with no real outcome. He's exhausted, but he can't stop. The cruel twist. The very act of trying to control fear keeps it alive. The more Monkey fights the anxiety, the louder it gets, like shouting quiet at an echo. His mind has confused thinking about danger with avoiding it. And so, even when nothing is wrong, Monkey's brain keeps the alarms blaring, believing it's saving him, when really it's just wearing him down. Chapter 3. The Comfort of Catastrophe. Why Monkey feeds his fears. Monkey doesn't realize it yet, but fear has become his comfort food. Every time something uncertain happens, his brain reaches for a worst-case scenario, like it's a snack. If I expect disaster, Monkey tells himself, I won't be surprised when it happens. But this isn't protection, it's pre-disappointment training. Monkey thinks imagining failure will make it hurt less, but instead it makes him live it twice, once in his head and once in real life. The brain rewards this twisted logic with little hits of relief, the illusion of control. So Monkey keeps checking, predicting, preparing, planning. He scans his messages 3 times, rereads emails for tone, and rehearses imaginary arguments in the shower. The amygdala loves this. It feels busy, useful, alive. But the more Monkey feeds fear with attention, the bigger it grows. Fear doesn't want to be solved. It wants to be sustained. It's like an employee in a factory that makes its own job security. Every what-if thought guarantees another shift. Soon, Monkey can't tell the difference between caution and obsession. He thinks he's being smart by expecting the worst, but really, he's turning every banana into a potential bomb. His world shrinks, not because it's dangerous, but because his brain keeps whispering, better safe than sorry. Monkey's comfort zone slowly becomes a cage, padded, familiar, and lined with maybe next times. Chapter 4. The Brain Chemistry of Panic. Inside Monkey's alarm system. Inside Monkey's head, the fear factory isn't just mental, it's chemical. When the amygdala hits the alarm, it triggers a full-body chain reaction. Adrenaline surges, heart pounds, cortisol floods the bloodstream, all preparing Monkey to fight or flee. Great for jungle survival, terrible for modern life. The problem is, Monkey rarely needs to sprint from predators anymore, but his biology doesn't know that. So when he opens an email labeled urgent, his body reacts like it's facing a tiger in a suit. Over time, this constant stress chemistry burns Monkey out. The hippocampus, the part of the brain that stores memories and tells the body when to calm down, gets overwhelmed. The result? Monkey's alarm stays on, even when there's no fire. That's why anxious thoughts feel endless. The brain never gets the all clear. And when the alarm never shuts off, even small stressors feel massive. One tiny inconvenience, or a missed message, a critical comment, and Monkey's entire system goes into overdrive. The cruel part? Monkey's logical brain tries to reason through it. Calm down, he tells himself. There's nothing to fear. But logic doesn't deactivate adrenaline. You can't outthink a hormone. That's why anxiety feels irrational, because it literally is. The thinking brain is offline, while the body's emergency system hijacks control. Monkey's left, trying to meditate, while his inner caveman is still screaming, "Run!" Chapter 5. When fear becomes the habit. At some point, fear stops being an emotion and becomes a routine. Monkey doesn't wait for danger anymore, or he anticipates it. The brain learns patterns, and after years of false alarms, Monkey's nervous system becomes hyper-tuned to spot threats that aren't even there. A quiet day feels suspicious. Peace feels unsafe. Happiness feels temporary. The absence of worry becomes its own kind of anxiety. Monkey's brain, trying to stay efficient, automates this fear pattern. Neural pathways strengthen, turning anxious thinking into a reflex. The more Monkey worries, the faster his brain fires the fear loop. It's no longer about the problem, it's about the rhythm. His body gets addicted to the cycle of tension and release, cortisol and calm. That's why when life gets good, Monkey self-sabotages. His system doesn't crave peace. It craves familiarity. Worry becomes the background music of his mind, and silence feels too loud to handle. But there's good news. What the brain can learn, it can unlearn. The same plasticity that wired in the fear loop can build a new one, a calm loop. Monkey just has to retrain his brain's definition of safe. Chapter 6. Shutting down the factory. Rewiring the fear. Response Monkey's breakthrough doesn't start with bravery. It starts with awareness. The first time he catches himself spiraling, the racing thoughts, the imaginary disasters, he pauses. He doesn't fight the fear or argue with it. He just says, "Oh, factory's working overtime again," labeling the fear as a brain process, not a personality flaw, disarms its power. Next, Monkey breathes, deep, slow, deliberate. It sounds cliché, but it's neuroscience. Slow breathing signals the vagus nerve, which tells the body the jungle's safe. As the body calms, the amygdala quiets down, and the prefrontal cortex, Monkey's reasoning center, comes back online. Monkey starts using small grounding rituals, noticing 5 things he can see, 4 he can touch, 3 he can hear, to pull himself back from imagined danger to present safety. Over time, Monkey learns that fear is just data, not destiny. He thanks his brain for trying to protect him, then gently retrains it. I'm safe, even if I'm uncertain. The fear factory still sends out alarms, but now Monkey knows how to clock out. Chapter 7. The Peace Loop. How Monkey Masters. His mind weaks. Later, something strange happens. A Monkey wakes up and feels quiet. No rush of panic, no imaginary disasters, just calm. He drinks his morning tea, sunlight on his fur, and realizes he's not waiting for something to go wrong. His brain has finally recalibrated. The same pathways that once triggered fear now trigger focus. This is the peace loop, the opposite of anxiety. It's what happens when the brain learns that safety isn't the absence of danger. It's the presence of control. Monkey still feels stress sometimes, but it no longer hijacks him. Fear becomes information, not identity. The alarms still exist, but they ring softer now. Background noise instead of a siren. Monkey finally understands the paradox. Fear was never the enemy. It was the overworked guardian inside him, trying too hard to keep him alive. By listening without obeying, calming without fighting, he turned his brain's factory of fear into a workshop of awareness. Now, when the alarms start to buzz, Monkey just smiles and says, "Thanks, brain. I've got it from here."